Today's daf is daf Ayin Hey. We are going to begin by the Mishnah on daf Ayin Dalet Omid Beis. Like the Mishnah, Gonav al Pishnayim, if a person stole an ox or a sheep, and two people testified that he stole the ox or the sheep, but when it came to Tficha Mechira, that he only had 1/8 to testify against, or he did it on his own. So the halacha is like this: B'shalom Tashlumi Kefil, he has to pay double because he has witnesses that testified that he stole. But he does not pay for full or fivefold because he does not have two witnesses. And we're going to learn soon that ein mishalmin kanas al pi eidachad al pi atzmei. Next thing, gonav v'tov b'Shabbos, if a person stole an animal and shechted it on Shabbos, which shechita on Shabbos is Misa, or Ganav v'tavach l'Aved Zara, you stole and he shechted for Aved Zara. Ganav mishal Aviv, or he stole from his father, and then his father died. And then v'achikir kach tavach u'machar, then he shechted and sold it. Or Ganav v'hikdesh, he stole and he's mantish it, and then v'achach tavach u'machar. So these dinim, Allah is mishal tashlum kefil, and mishal tashlum Bava Kamah, he pays kefil, but not Bava Kamah. Last din of Shimon Eimer, Kotshim, Shechai v'achir Yosem mishalman. When it comes to question that he's chayav to bear financial responsibility to replace the animal if one of the original animals were stolen or dies, then the thief has to pay it. But the obligation to pay 4 or 5 times if the animal for which the owner bears no financial responsibility, the thief is exempt from the 4 or 5 times. So again, will be Potter. That's how I read it. Okay, Zog the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that if the fact that the gan of shechs who sold the animal was established, I'll pay dechad, so then he's Potter from Dalvei. For the Gemara Pshita, obviously he's Potter. And for the Gemara Amri, they say like this: it teaches me that I'll pay atzmai. The Mishnah teaching me that the testimony based on himself is like a dechad. That my dechad, he also a dechad mistar bade. Just like when you have one witness, so if one witness joins him, that will be considered. If one witness is joined, that first witness will be considered as 2 witnesses, and those 2 witnesses we believe them. Also, edim mechayev. Edim come, they can be mechayev the guy. What's the chiddush? They exclude Rav Huna Marav, and by the knas, if one admits the knas, for example, he admits that he stole, and then Edim came, they'll be Potter in this case, even if he says he says he's chayev. If 2 Edim come afterwards, he will be chayev to exclude Rav Huna Marav's opinion. Now the Gemara says like this: Gufa. Let's go and discuss the text itself. He said, made the Beknas, if one admits his fine, and then Edim came, so the halacha would be Potter, he's Potter. Asked Rav Huna a question. There's a story that Rabbi Gamliel blinded his eye of his servant, the famous Tavi. He was very happy. Why was he very happy? Because Gamliel wanted to free Tavi, but you're not allowed to free a Vitlani. And this injury provided a way for now Rabbi Gamliel to free a slave. As we know, somebody who blinds the eye of a slave, he goes out for free. It goes out free. So he's very happy about it. Matzah Rav Shimon, so he found Rav Shimon, Amrlai. Shimon told him, Yati Yidesh Tavi Avdi Yotze the Chedes. So Rabbi Gamliel met Rabbi Gamliel and said, Rabbi Gamliel met Rabbi Yeshua and said to him, you don't know that my servant Avdi Tavi went free? Amrlai Lama. He said, why? So Amrlai told him, Shasim Yisias Eini. I relied on his eye. Amrlai, Eim is Varacha Klum. Your statement is nothing. You have no right to free him. Shekvar Eile Edim, as he has no witness is to testify that you did this to him. And the klal is that one does not pay Ein Mishal Knas Al Pi Atzmi. One pays a knas only based on testimony of witnesses. the requirement to free one slave after injury is his eye is a type of kanas, and maybe the kanas is pater. So therefore, you had no right to free him. Now, so what is the word I learned from this story? How yesh edim? If there would have been edim, chayiv, it would be chayiv. From Yamina, we learn from here. Maybe the kanas. If maybe the kanas of the machach bo edim, you will be chayiv. Right? So Rav said maybe the kanas machach bo edim. He's pater. Now we see from the story that the story of Rabbi Gamliel, that when he blinded his eye, the only reason why Rabbi Shua told him anything that he's not allowed to is because there was no edim. Heistach, if there would be edim, then he would be allowed to. Then even if he's made afterwards and edim come, he'd be chayiv. So it's a clear question on Rab. So Amalei, so when I said to Rabbi Gamliel is different. Delay mifnei beis din reidi, as he admitted his actions when he was not in the presence of beis din. A admission not in the presence of beis din does not exempt the perpetrator from paying the fine. The Gemara challenges Rabbi Shua av beis din have it, but Rabbi Shua was the av beis din. So Papashas took in front of beis din. So the Gemara answers shalei b'fnei beis din have a koi. Shua was not present in beis din when Gamliel encountered him. So the Gemara asks a question. What time did we learned in a different brayso? Your statement is nothing. Shekvar Hedi says you've already admitted to making the injury on yourself. So it's mashal that even if the witnesses would come afterwards about the injury, Gamliel would not free Tavi. The Gemara says, "My lav Tanai must be to machlekes Tanaim." Hatana damer shekvar lecha edim savar, because the Tana says that the Rishua's statement was you have no witnesses. We'll all made the beknas rachach bo edim is chayiv. And Tana, the Omar, and the Tana who says Shekvar Hidisa would say the Medi B'Gnas Rachach Bo Edim is Potter. So where it says like the Kulam Medi B'Gnas Rachach Bo Edim, I can tell you really is Potter. Well, Kamiflagi, what's the argument? Haitana Dabar Shekvar in the Chayidim, the Bryce, which says that you don't have any Edim Savrios because the Beis Din have it was outside of Beis Din. Well, Tana Dabar Shekvar Hidisa, some of the Beis Din have it wasn't in Beis Din. Itmar. If a person admits that he's chayiv to pay the fine, and then Edom come and testify to his liability, Rav Omer Potter or Shmuel Omer chayiv. Machlekes Rav or Shmuel. Rav says he's Potter, and Shmuel says he is still going to be chayiv. Omer Rav Bar Eloi, my time to Rav. What is the reason of Rav? Now, with regards to a ganav, we know a ganav has to pay. If he denies it, he has to pay. He doesn't return. He has to pay a double payment, as the Torah says. If the theft shall be found in his possession alive, an ox or sheep, he has to pay double. It's called kefil. Now, the Torah uses himotze, timotze. Shall be found is double. Now, Rava learns from the repetition that there are two matters that are found. In himotze means with edim. Only if it's found, it's revealed that he stole through edim. Or timotze is b'dayanim, through the testimony of, or the theft is found as determined through dayanim, judges. Prat the Marshias Atzmei, to exclude one who incriminates himself through his own admission. So therefore, I made the Beknas Potter. Now, Rav asks Elomali, why do I need the Torah to teach this here? Marshias Nafke, the one whom the judgment convict shall pay double to his neighbor, which is mashma that self-incrimination is insufficient to render one chayav for double payment. Alishma must be made the Beknas Bo'edim will be Potter. The second pasuk teaches additional chiddush. Now, Shmuel will tell you no. That pasuk is necessary to teach a God of himself must pay double payment. In other words, the double payment is imposed not only upon the shamer who takes a false oath that the article entrusted to him was stolen, but it's also imposed on a God that could tana the Bei Chizkiyo, as a school of Chizkiyo taught in the earlier Perek. If a thief saw witnesses who were approaching with the intent to testify against them, and then he said quickly, I stole, I did not slaughter or sell, saying Mishal, Karen, he has to only pay the Kedin. Says Mashvat, even if those witnesses testify, the thief remains exempt from the double payment as well as Talvei. So Amalei Shmuel says, we're dealing with a case where the witnesses returned back. Ultimately, they did not testify. Now Rav raises an objection. The fact that the latter clause of the price teaches Rabbi Elazar son of Rabbi Shimon says let the witness come and testify. This means that the testimony will be accepted and the thief will be required to pay relevant fines. We deduce the first time that holds that no, there's no point in the witness testifying as the gana will be exempt in any case. So Amalei Shmuel says to Rav, Lav Ika Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon. Isn't the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon that Koikav say which stands in accordance with my opinion? When I said I want to admit that he's chayav to pay a knas, and afterwards witnesses testify that he committed that act is deemed liable, I know the Amri Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon. I'm saying this according to Rabbi Shimon. Nothing where it says L'Shmuel, according to Shmuel, it's for sure Machlekes Tanaim, as he himself was forced to admit that his opinion is in accordance with Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, not the first time of the brisa. Shall we say according to Rav that is a Machlekes Tanaim? Rav will say to you, I know the Amri, I'm saying I feel Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon. Even according to Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon, only there, that specific case, because the Ganav admitted his guilt solely due to the fear of the testimony of the witness. But here, in an ordinary case of admission, the Meidem Atzmai, he admits his guilt is own violation. I feel that Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon, it will be made out that the Ganav is exempt from payment, even if witnesses testify that he is chayv. Ramnuna says, it's more reasonable. It's more reasonable in the case where the Ganav says, I stole an item, and then witnesses came to testify that he stole the item. In that case, it's logical that the Ganav is exempt from paying the fine despite the witness testimony because he obligated himself to pay the principal via his admission. But if he says, like an afti, I did not steal Boidim Shaganav, then Edom came and said he stole. He said, and then the Boidim Shtavakamah Chayiv. He's going to be Chayiv and everything. Because he is Chayiv. Because through his admission, he wanted to exempt himself from everything. In order for the admission to exempt the perpetrator from a fine, he has to include the admission that he is chayav to pay some payment. Amar Rav, Rav says, I've gotten the better of the elders to the school of Rav, which is a Ramnina. Rabbi Gamliel, injuring his slave, he was seeking to exempt himself from any payment whatsoever in his admission. Rabbi Chisda stated this price that Rabbi Gamliel challenged Rabbi Huna's opinion. And I'm Huna, then I answer him that Rabbi Gamliel's case was different because his admission served to exempt him entirely. It was noted also. Somebody says, I stole an item. But then Edom came and said he stole Padri's butter washer. Because he obligates himself through his admission to be the principal. He says, I did not steal. And then Edom came and said he did steal. Then he says, he was seeking to exempt himself from any payment whatsoever. Rashi says, the Mishnah and the Brisa are also precisely formulated in accordance with the opinion. Our Mishnah, Bava Kamah. So the fact that why does the Mishnah need to teach if one stole an ox or sheep is established based on the testimony of two witnesses? This need in the Mishnah is a simpler case. He will not be chayiv. He will, where he does not obligate himself to his admission to pay the principal, that he's obligated to pay the fine. Now, who which we have this already. But if he established that the Ganav stole an animal and shechted or sold it, and based on the testimony of one witness or based on his own admission, in which case through his admission he obligates himself to pay the principal amount, we do not say that the witness testifies subsequent to his own admission, similar to when he arrives to the testimony of one witness. Rather, since in this case his admission would have rendered him chayiv to pay the principal due to the fact that the theft is not established based on the testimony of two witnesses, is considered a proper admission, which exempts him from paying the fine. The Brisa that supports Rav Nuna's opinion is one cited earlier. The Tanya Ro Edom Mishamshimin Uboyin. if a God saw witnesses who were approaching with intent to testify against him, and he says, I stole an animal, but I did not slaughter or sell it. And the reason that the thief is exempt from paying is that he says, I stole the animals, in the case he's obligated to pay himself the principal. You see an admission to the shefting of the stolen animal. It's not considered a valid admission. As such, the admission is not obligated the perpetrator to pay a fine. Amri, the Gemara says, no, look, he Gufa Kamashpal teaches us the Kim the Amr Ganafti. Since this is Ganafti, Abagav the Amr later, after the Mahad, the Valedin, the Amar part of my time, there's a Shlama Bava Kamah, one of the latest Shlama Bava later Shlama, not 3 or if 2 witnesses testify that some of the one stolen animal, and 2 others testifying that he shafted or sold an animal, so once the Gneva is considered inspiring witnesses, we say that testimony that was partly invalid is entirely invalid. However, if the witnesses testify concerning the slaughter that were he still has to pay in kefil. They pay 3. He pays the double payment. The thief pays 3-fold payment for an ox and 2-fold payment for the ram. To which case, the price is sumkas referring to. Everybody holds it. A what basis would sumkas argue this ruling? Rather, this matter is there's a different matter between them. Where 2 people came and say to the thief, "You stole an animal." He says, "I did, but not in front of you guys." And the thief brought in new witnesses who were rendered the original witnesses, conspiring witnesses, that testifying that they were in a different place. The lay and the thief not steal their presence. And finally, the owner of the animal brought other witnesses to testify that the thief stole the animal and shafted or sold it. By thus, and disagree whether the admission of the slaughter. So what's our cue that the name of Mahmas isn't the comedy? Since the admission concerning the theft was due only to the witness that he admits his guilt, the concerning the slaughter is not a valid admission. We know those first witnesses to the theft who were rendered conspiring witnesses. Everybody agrees that admission concerning the slaughter of a stolen animal is not a valid admission, and it does not render the perpetrator liable to pay any payment. They disagree in the concept of testimony that you cannot render hazama. Or witnesses come and say to the thief, "You stole an animal." I stole it out in front of you guys. And the thief brought witnesses who established the first set of witnesses as conspiring witnesses by testifying that the thief did not steal the animal in their presence. Also plenty. And finally, so the 2 people mentioned by the thief came and testified against the thief, saying that he stole the animal and he shafted it. Again, this was arguing. Then this is this testimony that you cannot render Edom Zeman, and the thief himself admits that the testimony is true. And the din is this is not a edus. So their testimony is discounted, which leaves only the thief's statement. The thief pays the money admitted he owns, but he's exempt from paying the kanas. Meanwhile, the first witness who had been rendered Edom Zeman pays the thief a double payment. So conservative either should have edus. Further, what about Kaimla either should have edus? Where it says, "Hani mili the lay other when you don't know which day, 1 hour, like a latest cloud." Here, the thief is supporting testimony which renders him more.